Hey guys, my name is Matimio, and today I have another episode of Field Test. This is a series where in the comment section, you guys let me know what loadout you want me to try in the next video. I pick from the 3 top most rated comments, and then I give that one a whirl. Essentially what we're trying to do here is to find loadouts that may have gone under the radar, people may not know about them, and then kind of bring them to light, or just to try out loadouts that you think are going to be really effective, but maybe you don't have the time to test it out yourself, and then I will put it through the paces and then give my thoughts on it. So for today, I am trying out the QBZ with the Cobra, laser sight, flash suppressor, and RPG. Now, when I saw that players wanted me to try out the QBZ, admittedly, I was really hesitant. I thought that this setup was going to just suck. Probably because before the patch, I avoided this weapon like the plague. I remembered before it just had a ridiculous amount of recoil. It was very hard to stay on target for even medium range engagements. And not only that, but it had a very low RPM, so staying on target, or not staying on target, but killing people up close was also a difficult task because you just didn't have the RPM to kill people. Now, they didn't change the RPM on this weapon, but what they did change, I believe, is the recoil, and it's a lot better now. And while, admittedly, it's still not as good as some of the weapons out there, I found that this setup was actually a lot of fun to use. You know, it only has an RPM of 650, so up close it still has a difficult task at killing people that have, you know, a higher RPM weapon, but one really nice aspect of it is the laser sight attachment with it, which makes it just, the hipfire accuracy is like a laser beam. The laser sight makes it a laser beam, and it's a lot of fun just to round the corner, see 2 players, and just hipfire them down, even go for headshots when you're hipfiring because it's that accurate. And like I said, the low RPM does put you at a disadvantage against players that are using a faster RPM weapon, but if they're not using the laser sight and they're not trying to hipfire you down, you might have the advantage because you're not having to zoom in, you're not having to scope, you know, ADS, aim down sight, and that could give you that slight advantage to take them out and win a lot of fights. And for the most part, that's what was happening with me. I would get into a lot of engagements assuming that I wouldn't come out on top because they were using a weapon like the AEK or the FAMAS, but because they were aiming down sight and I didn't have to bother with that, that split second where they had to aim down sight was apparently enough for me to take a lot of these players out, and I would come out on top more often than not. So to be honest, I was very surprised that the laser sight made me that effective with such a low RPM weapon at close range. For the most part, I really wouldn't recommend a slow RPM weapon up close because, you know, like I said earlier, it just doesn't perform as well. But because it has such a fantastic hipfire accuracy with the laser sight, I found it to be really effective, surprisingly. So not only was this weapon a treat to use up close, but it was also a lot of fun to use at medium to long range, mostly because they changed the recoil on this weapon so significantly that you can finally stay on target for those long range shots, and it just makes it a lot more fun. You're still not going to want to go for those really long range shots. You are using an engineer weapon, and a lot of the engineer weapons are just not made to go for those long ball shots. You know, you should leave those for the snipers or the assault rifles, but that doesn't necessarily mean you're going to be completely useless when you go for those long range shots. Sure, you're going to still have to burst fire, and you're going to have to be very patient and diligent when you do go for those long range targets, but if someone's going for you at long range, don't be afraid to engage them because this weapon will still take them out. It might take your entire magazine, or maybe you reload every once in a while if you're getting suppressed, because that suppression effect is just oh so awesome. But like I said, don't be afraid to go for long range shots. This weapon is effective at going for them, it's just not as effective as some other weapons. Now, if I was going to improve upon the setup, I would swap out the flash suppressor with the heavy barrel, mainly because the QBZ really doesn't have a lot of vertical recoil, and that's really just the main benefit of using the flash suppressor. Sure, you have that side benefit of getting rid of your muzzle flash, but that's really not that important, at least in my opinion. And having the heavy barrel is going to make you much more effective at medium range engagements, and in my opinion, that's where this weapon really excels. It doesn't really have a high RPM, so it makes it very easy to stay on target for those medium to long range shots, and the heavy barrel is just going to complement that very well and make it a much more deadly weapon at those engagements. So if I could just make one change to the setup, it would just be to change the flash suppressor for the heavy barrel. So overall, I would say that this is a absolutely fantastic setup. I was a little surprised, like I said earlier, at how much fun it was. You wouldn't expect it to do very well up close, but because of its awesome hipfire accuracy with the laser sight, you can do well in those engagements. and because its recoil, now that since the most recent patch, is very manageable, going for medium to long range shots is also very viable. So it's kind of your all-around awesome weapon and setup. So if you haven't tried out this loadout, I would highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. I got a lot of matches out of this, and overall just really enjoyed this loadout. But that's it for today's field test, guys. I hope you enjoyed. If you did, or you want to support my channel, I would appreciate it. Give this video a thumbs up, and if you haven't already, subscribe to my channel for more videos. If you would like me to try out one of your own loadouts, make sure you leave a comment down below and give a thumbs up to the loadout that you guys want me to try. But until next time, guys, have a good one and take it easy.